Okay, so I want to begin by asking you a couple of questions. It's mainly just for you to think about to yourself, but if you want to, go ahead and drop your answers down below because I'd love to hear them. Alright, here we go. Who is your favourite comic book character? And why do you like them? Okay, so not really that complicated, and I can guarantee that anyone that does have a heavy interest in the genre was able to answer them without even taking a moment to think. For me it's easy. My favourite character is Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and I like him because he's relatable, and not just because he also happens to be a nerd who has troubles in school and at home, but because he's self-made, a hero who has to constantly juggle his life problems with his greater responsibilities. But why does this matter? What purpose do these questions have within the wider video? It's because when answered, they prove that these characters can connect with people, that they can make us feel something, that they are more than just people in spandex flying around and blowing stuff up. And it's here that the reason for this video lies. I can't count how many times I've been in a discussion about a film outside of this genre with someone, whether it be a family member, a friend, or some random person on this cesspool that we call the internet. And when I say I don't like whatever supposed 3-hour-long, multi-winning Oscar epic, or whatever other film they're on about, they just turn around to me and say, "Oh, what, is there not enough people being thrown through buildings for you to enjoy?" Or, "Of course you don't like it, you only like superhero movies." And that is why I'm making this video, because to be honest, I'm so sick and tired of the stigma against fans of this genre, by people who either have such a vague surface level understanding of it, or just refuse to see it as anything more than a bunch of people fighting. Another argument I see against this genre is that every single film, comic book or TV show ever written for it has the exact same plot. Hero shows up, hero fights villain. The end. And to that, all I have to say is, I can say that exact same surface level argument about any genre. Oh, horror movies are all the same, it's just people surviving against monsters in every film. All rom-coms are the same because it's just people falling in love with a comedic backdrop. What about gangster movies? Do you like gangster movies? Well, too bad, because every single one of them is exactly the same. It's just gangsters doing gangster-like things. The problem with these arguments is that it immediately shows that you just don't really have an interest in the genre you're complaining about. Instead of looking at the characters' motivations or the overall narrative journey taken through the film, you'd rather just see every single comic book property and the tropes that come with it as one big homogeneous blob, ignoring everything deeper about it and acting all high and mighty as if you not liking comic books is some kind of insane personal achievement. And this is exactly why I pointed out that these characters have meaning, that they aren't just carbon copies of one another. Take a movie like Man of Steel for example, a film that I do intend to review further down the line. In Man of Steel, one of the biggest criticisms I see about it is that they're just blowing stuff up and throwing each other through buildings for half the movie. So, do we just ignore the deeper narrative of the film just because there's action sequences? Do we ignore Clark's inner struggle as he desperately has to choose between humanity and his own people? Do we ignore Zod's desperation to save his race after its complete and total annihilation? Just because people are fighting, it doesn't mean there isn't a meaningful analysis to make. Take the dream sequence between Superman and Zod for example. Clark sees what happens to humanity if he allows Krypton to survive. The horrific realization immediately building conflict within him as he begs the General to stop.
Where is the Codex, Cal?
Krypton lives again. What happens to Earth?
The Foundation has to be built on something. Even your father recognized that.
No. Zod. I can't be a part of this.
Then what can you be a part of?
No! Zod! No! No!
The entire narrative of Clark being forced to choose between his two homeworlds is woven throughout the film. And even after Clark says Krypton had its chance, you still get to see him scream out in pain at the very act of killing such a barbaric opponent, just because he's lost his own race.
Never.
As for the action in the film, I never really understood the criticisms. You're watching a film about godlike aliens invading Earth. A film where Superman is hopelessly outmatched on nearly every front. What is it you want exactly? For them to all fight in a field and call it a day? Of course you don't. Because that would be boring as hell, and it wouldn't accurately represent the damage that the Kryptonians are capable of inflicting. Now, back to how supposedly every story in the genre is exactly the same. Are we really prepared to say that a story about a godlike alien forced to choose between humanity and his own race is the same as Peter Parker struggling with his personal life and giving up the mantle in Spider-Man 2? Or that Vought profiting off superheroes in The Boys is the same as Judge Dredd trying to reclaim peach trees? Is Watchmen the same as The Incredibles just because superheroes are illegal in both stories? Or what about the Winter Soldier's themes of corruption? Are they the same as whatever the hell was going on in Ant-Man and the Wasp? Yes, all genres have tropes, whether it's an ancient race of aliens who left behind some all-powerful technology in a sci-fi universe, or a dramatic staring contest in a western, or every single high fantasy story being filled with elves, dwarfs, and orcs. But tropes don't define narratives. Tropes don't automatically make everything the same. Are there shared themes within the comic book genre? Sure. But what's important is the journey, not the individual nitpicked story beats that happen to be seen across it. So why do comic books matter? Because they make us feel. Because they can tell stories like no other genre can. Because they can give us characters that bring out the best and also the worst in us. They can show us moral conflict, give us political commentary, and yes, they can also give us some kick-ass action that keeps us entertained. Like all genres, the comic book genre has its high points and its low ones. It has work that both amazes and disappoints. It has the potential to inspire you and make you cry your eyes out. It makes you feel. This time last year, I'm not gonna lie, I was in such a slump. I had no passion for this genre, and honestly I just felt awful because of it. If I wasn't being told that my love for the MCU was essentially wrong think, I was being told that my opinions didn't matter just because I liked Zack Snyder's work, and it wasn't until the Snyder Cut was finally announced and we got that first trailer that for the first time in a while I had felt something for this genre. I realised that I shouldn't care about what anyone else thought about my opinions, because God, seeing that trailer really touched me. I'm not ashamed to admit I teared up at it, and I'm also not ashamed to admit that the film itself hit me even harder. All fandoms have toxicity in them, whether it's Star Wars, Star Trek, or, I don't know, My Little Goddamn Pony. But I do really feel like since the recent rise in the popularity of the comic book genre, that the toxicity of it is definitely the worst there is. So many different camps have formed that just refuse to allow other takes, opinions, or criticisms of any kind. And with that there are also, of course, the people looking in who think they're better than everyone else just because they don't like comic books. So next time somebody tells you you're wrong for liking something, that your taste in movies is incorrect just because you happen to like stories that have a bunch of cape-wearing morons flying around, ignore them. Because what is important is that you love these characters, that you feel a connection to them, that you love the narratives this genre has on display. It doesn't matter if you read comics, play the games, or just watch the films. If you feel a connection to these characters and the stories that they have on offer, then as far as I'm aware, you're a comic book fan. Hell, you could like Screen Time and his dad's top secret internet gas, and who am I to care, because at least you're getting an enjoyment out of it. The genre has grown far beyond the pages at this point, and that is a beautiful thing to see. Hell, if you'd have asked my 10-year-old self whether he thought comic books would become as popular as the MCU is now, he'd have never believed you in a million years. And yet, here we are. Comic book characters are at the forefront of pop culture as the current kings of entertainment. Yes, that means we get a lot of generic, lifeless, bland crap with it. But isn't that the same for every genre? For every king, there's a pile of dirt around the corner somewhere. So, the next time you feel like complaining about an entire genre, maybe you should look at what it is you like, and think why it makes you feel the way you do. Maybe with that added perspective, you might find that you fall in love with something you never before thought possible. Hell, it happened to me. There used to be a time where I'd tell you I couldn't stand rom-coms, and then I watched 500 Days of Summer and everything changed. Every genre is massive, and there's always going to be something in them for everyone. So just keep that in mind the next time you go on your 200th rant about why comic book movies aren't real cinema. And with that, my own rant comes to an end. Hopefully you liked what I had to say. Maybe I changed someone's mind, maybe I didn't. I'm not here to dictate who likes what, just to share my own thoughts and opinions. But regardless of that, I'd love to hear your own thoughts. What is it you love about the genre? What is it you hate? Leave your thoughts down below. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.